right there. Yeah, I should have done this last week and probably like 2 weeks before that, but I didn't. Today it's not even a Monday, it's a Tuesday, but we're still doing this. Life. It is what it is. Welcome to Beat Rate, BTRT, where we listen to beats and talk about them. And, you know. All right, BTRT episode 2, I guess, even though it's been a lot of time between this and that. And again, life, what can I say? I'm being busy at work. Everything is just kind of a headache, to be honest, but it's nice to be here to do this thing, listen to beats, talk about them, being analytical and giving constructive criticism and whatever. And we're still working off of this system that I had like on the last show. I'm accepting anything on email now. So send an email to btrt@accuratebeats.com if you want to be featured. I'm going to get the email. We're going to try to listen to as much music as possible. And this is supposed to be a concept that I'm doing live on Twitch every other week. Mondays, today it's Tuesday. That's a whole thing. What I'm saying is, btrt@accuratebeats.com. So send beats in there. Nothing AI generated, please. Please. It's supposed to be about you, me, the community, the beats, the art form of producing music, That's what it's going to be. That's what we came here to talk about. So, the next step here for me is to jump right into my inbox and make sure to have some stuff to listen to. And we have a few tracks, not too many of them, because, I changed the platform, I changed the name of it, and I'm not even doing it on the right day of the week. So, we still have music though. The first one comes from Klangstrom. Klangstrom is one of those people who has been in the chat a lot on the previous thing on YouTube, and also has submitted beats and everything like that. So it's a nice person, someone in the community who makes beats and wants to be a part of this thing. In the chat room right now, we have Made So Well, Salberts, Grumpy, Kane. I see you guys. Swang Lee, Nick. Cool. Nice to have you here. If any one of you makes music and wants us to play it and whatever, just send it right now. It's going to be played, I think. We don't have that many submissions. So, the first one from Klangstrom. And in the email, he says, "Hey, Accurate. I recently started to use my MPC key 37. This one right here. And arranged, wrote, and recorded this song on it. It's called Love So True. Hope you're well and keep up the great work. It's good to be able to hear feedback on songs, etc." Yeah, that's what we're doing, So it's cool that someone appreciates it. Now we need to open up VLC, and it just flew by. Where's my window? VLC, where are you? It's not that I'm in love with VLC per se, but it's a nice and simple media player for this. It's easy for me to adjust the volume and everything on the beats inside of it. So that's a little bit too low. Let's increase it a little bit. And let's all have a listen to Klangstrom. Love So True. made on the MPC Key 37. And it's supposed to be a full song. We are getting a lot of instrumentals and a lot of beats and stuff submitted. This, he calls it a song, so let's check it out. It's 3.5 minutes long, and since we don't have that many submissions, let's play the entire thing if it doesn't get too repetitive or boring. Let's go.
We're losing track of time. It keeps passing through. I can feel it in the morning breeze, slipping by without you. Saying goodbye was playing it cool. But oh, how the time flies on a love so true. That's what we do. Love so true. Whenever I'm with you, I feel brand new. Love so true.
So, we call this concept beat rate, or BTRT for short, and a lot of people are submitting beats. I also make beats myself, and that's pretty much the concept. But someone like Klangstrom submitting something like this is just a cool thing. I don't hate it. It's not, it's not something that I would listen to myself, but I know my quote-unquote wife, girlfriend, whatever you want to put kind of tags on it, she listens to like 80s ballad music, ballads, and this is like, to me it feels like 70s, 80s type of music, not like the 80s, super electronic stuff. But I don't know why, but I bought this reel-to-reel tape recorder a few weeks ago, and it had a lot of Elton John songs on one side of the tape. And I can't help but thinking about Elton John when I hear this. It feels a little bit like the same style. Again, I don't really know what I'm talking about. I'm a beat maker, you know. It's a cool composition. It's a cool track. The vibe of it is this like cool, melancholic, like serious, but still kind of uplifting track. I don't hate it, but there's something strange about the production. And I guess the strangeness in the production is made intentionally. That's what I think, at least, because it goes with the style and it's really specific like that. But the vocal production could be worked on, not just in terms of the singing, because having a lot of personality and your own way of singing and expressing yourself is cool. That's never a bad thing. And it's all subjective. It's all art, We shouldn't bash on things for not being exactly up our own alley. It's for someone, But the vocal production, it feels like you're shouting. Maybe it's the reverb, maybe it's the overall production, maybe you're just singing with a lot of emphasis on every word or whatever. I would try to tone that down a little bit if I could. If it's in mixing or recording or even mastering, I don't know. Or maybe it's a part of the sound and it's supposed to be like that. But it sounds to me like you're shouting a little bit. It feels like it's not 100% matching the vibe of the music, so to speak. But it also has this nice vibe of being like an intro song for an old TV show, like Cheers or something. Some of the chords and some of the stuff in there makes me think about an old TV show of some sort, which is cool. It's not a boom bappy or lo-fi kind of hip hop beat, and it's not supposed to, This is something else. I'm trying to have a different kind of perspective. And that's fun. When it comes to the production in general, it feels like I hate the snare sound. Because I have this whole thing about snare sounds with the reverb not being my thing. And it goes for this one too, for sure. But also the kick drum going like boom, 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 boom in the verses. Do they have to even be there? Or could it be like a lower, more subby, deeper kind of kick? I don't know if that would make anything worse. But also, I don't really hear much. Yeah, that's a cardinal sin. Of course it is. Using a reverb on a snare drum. So what your hi-hat and your kick drum is like recorded in a studio and the snare drum is recorded in a cave or a cathedral? I wouldn't think so. I don't like that kind of, I want some type of perspective on the mixes and how you think about it. So slapping a big old reverb on a snare drum just to give it some space, to me it feels kind of crazy. But we can't keep talking about reverbs on snares for every single episode, week in and week out. It's just a personal preference. I don't like it. I don't think it should be there, But also, in this track in general, I feel like I need a bass line or more of a proper bass line. Maybe it's the mixing or something, but it feels like there's space in the low end that needs to be used. Let's listen again, just a little bit, to see if I'm wrong.
That's what we do. Love so true. Whenever I'm with you, I feel brand new. Love.
Well, I mean, we have the chords, we have the drums, and we have the vocals. That feels like the major parts of this. But a bass line, just following or maybe doing some kind of stepping pattern would be cool. I'm just saying. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. But it's, the singing is taking up a lot of space here. But what you said in the email, let's get back to the email. I recently started to use my MPC Key 37 and arranged, wrote and recorded this song on it. So the way I read that means that the entire vocal arrangement was recorded in the MPC Key 37. And that's really cool. The MPC software has now gotten to a point where stuff like that is doable. It's been like that for a while, I know, but hearing someone like this who actually uses that functionality, recording longer takes or even editing takes of audio in that kind of way, I think that's cool. Really cool. Now we have too many windows. That window just needs to go. Okay. Computers, monitors, screens, it's a whole thing. Rockwell. Yeah, I definitely think you can mention reverb on snare in every episode. I guess I'm gonna, because I'm noticing that a lot of you guys are using snares on reverbs. I'm noticing that a lot of you guys are using reverbs on snares. Words, sentences. Living life as a person is a whole thing. You're supposed to work with a computer and cameras. You're supposed to talk and make sense. It's a whole thing. But thanks a lot to Klangstrom for submitting this one. Having that kind of start on an episode like this it's fun, It's different, but it's fun. Now, let's move into the next email, just like that. This one comes from Salberts. Salbert's in the chat room. Are you still here? You still with us? If you're here, make yourself known. Say something. Hey Accurate, hey community. I finally finished another beat. As an addition, I thought it would sound nice with some vocals. So I'm sending you both versions, whatever you want to play. Beats are built using Machine MK3 for the gear nerds. Yeah, Machine MK3. That's a beast of a device in its own way. Best regards from Germany and greetings to the whole awesome community watching right now. Unfortunately, not a lot of people watching live right now, but we're trying to build something. I appreciate you being here. So, you have two different versions. One with vocals and one without. So, what are we talking about? Vocals from you? Or like a stolen a cappella from somewhere? Who knows? Maybe it's Salberts himself on the mic. Maybe it's not. I don't know. I can't even have opinions. So I think for this thing, it would make more sense to listen to the beat and then maybe listen to a little bit with the rap on. But I'm curious to know what the vocals are. If it's you or if it's like, a Mobb Deep a cappella or something. You never know. So one is called just Salbert's Lo-Fi. The other one's called Salbert's Lo-Fi Mixdown. So I don't even know which one is the vocal one. Let's just play one of them and see what happens.
Yeah, there's no way to turn me up. Got that? If not, it's
Obviously vocals.
all good. Yeah. Hey. I bet they never seen no coming like a blind.
No, I want to listen to the actual beat. Because
Bitch, you fucking from behind. It's the motherfucking dime. Bitch, I'm fucking.
yeah, that's something else. Instrumental. That one goes first. To just listen to the beat and then let's see in context. Okay, that came unexpectedly. Cool. Now we are back into the ballpark of beats, you know? I'm not the one to say that anything is better than anything else, you know? I'm not here to rate your beats because it's beat rate, you know?
Yeah, there's no way to turn me up.
So let's,
Got that? If not, it's all good.
you know, let's listen to it with some
Yeah.
rap too.
Hey, hey, hey. I bet they never seen no coming. Like a blind bitch, you fucking from behind. It's the motherfucking dime, bitch. I'm fucking up rewind buttons. My shit is jumping like the prime. Faded 9 on my back. Like some scratches from your lady on your mattress where they gave me that. I bet niggas can't wait to pay me back. While they relax, I stay in tip top shape and I stay up on my toes like some gym socks. Flip flops, tell them haters to rehab. Kick rocks, game tight like ziplock. Half black, other half.
So we understand what you're doing, where you're going with that. Cool. So this is not a bad beat. It's a nice beat. I like it. I like the vibe of it. I like the flow of it. I like how it plays out. And I can definitely see how you wanted to put some vocals on it because it feels like a beat that's perfect for rappers, you know? Now, I do have a few. Where is submission? BTRT at accuratebeats.com. Boom. That's where you submit. We're not doing the whole thing on the website anymore. We have too few people watching, too few people submitting beats for that. So email is the thing. Now, this beat, you know, first of all, it's pretty simple, which is not necessarily a bad thing. And it's cool, as it is. It has a vibe, it has a flowiness of it, and it has a strong kind of driving force, you know? For the lack of a better word. Now, one issue with this one, if there is issues, and there always are issues, the sample feels like it's a super low quality thing. Maybe it's taken from like a low quality kind of MP3 or a YouTube video or something, or maybe you put it through some vocal, no, what's that called? You know, when you extract stem separation tool, that's not like super high quality. Something like that might be going on. So the main sample, the string sounds and everything like that, you know, it just feels like it's a low bitrate kind of audio file, which is always a problem because you can't always expect the highest sound quality from your samples. Sometimes you can just find something that's really cool and it like makes you inspired and everything. You want to use it, but it doesn't sound that good. That's a problem that everyone runs into. Sometimes I'm noticing, especially in Logic, I do that more than on the MPC. When I have a sample that's bad in that kind of way, I tend to use some type of bit reduction. And I know it sounds wrong, but it almost always works. To do some intentional bit rate reduction on the audio file. Somehow that normally, like, I don't know what it does technically, but it does something that's mostly good. Not for low frequency stuff, but for like what this is, like mid-range, higher frequencies, like string sounds and, you know, for vocals and like guitars and pianos and stuff. So I would try to do a little bit of bit reduction, maybe together with a little bit of saturation and find the balance there to get more of the softness out of the sample, out of the sound. Because right now it feels kind of harsh, which is cool and good in this genre, but it could be easier to listen to with a little bit of touch-ups. Doesn't have to be a lot. You don't have to overdo anything. It's not supposed to sound super high quality. I understand that. But something could be done.
White like Kid Rock. Try to tell
It's obvious to me that the audio quality of the sample could be improved. Now, the production in general, The kick drum is really cool. The snare drum is cool. The hi-hat feels a little bit stiff and maybe a little bit loud, but that's, I like my hi-hats kind of low in the mix, but still. It also feels like the entire drum group or track or however you work on it. This was made on Machining MK3. It feels a little bit overdriven or distorted slightly, which is kind of cool, but also, you gotta be careful. If you overdo it, it sounds bad. If you just touch it a little bit, it sounds like it's not intentional. I think you found a balance here, but I'm not sure that it's for me specifically. I like things to be somewhat clean, but everyone can't do me. That's not what you're supposed to do. I like it, but just beware. Just be careful. Now, maybe it's just the kick drum, and that's just cool. I like the kick. And you have this nice switch up in the track, basically 2 different patterns, a different ending on one of them, I know, but mainly 2 patterns. And the secondary one is dead simple, pretty much the same as the first, but a little bit less. And to me, that's enough, That's enough. In terms of variation and stuff, sure, if it's supposed to hold up as an instrumental, maybe a different section too, depending on the length of the track. I don't know. I don't have all the answers. But I like what you did here. You kept it nice and simple. You didn't overdo anything. And sometimes it's easy to think that, it's way too repetitive. It's way too simple. I need to switch it up. And when I switch it up, I'm going to go crazy. You don't have to. Sometimes just switching it up, creating a different variation, it doesn't have to be that different from the main one, sometimes. Let's see if we can find it. And that section also allows for the bass line to kind of take a little bit of more space. I like that. It provides a nice push and pull of things and a nice balance between one and the other. So nice work, I would say. Do something about the audio quality on the snare, on the sample, and keep a lookout on your settings on the distortion on the kick drum. I think it's cool. But maybe you could do more, maybe you could do less. I don't know. And like the general brim, brum, 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 brim, brum, it's not a bad pattern. And it could be repeated for days. And especially with a rapper like that on it. Makes a lot of sense and it works. I appreciate it. I like it. This was from Salberts, and Salberts himself is saying, I put some tape filters on that sample. It could get some lo-fi vibes. It should get some lo-fi vibes. Yeah. And there's a fine line between a cool lo-fi vibe and something that just feels low quality. I had some other sections, but I couldn't get them in the composition. No, I don't think you had to. This is good enough. It doesn't have to be like, I have 10 different sections and everyone's different and everything. Just sometimes a nice and solid loop in a few different variations works. So could we say anything more about this? I don't know. There's something with the audio quality and like the sonics of a track like this that makes me want to I want to go in there and make a few things just softer, just filing away some of those harsh angles and stuff. And that's me. Maybe I'm too much of a coward. Maybe you're better and cooler because you allow it to just be raw like that. And I appreciate it. I just know that if I had something like that before in front of me myself, I would try to do all sorts of things to make it a little bit rounder and softer, and maybe I'm wrong, you know? So, Salberts, thanks a lot for submitting. Salberts is one of those people who tends to always jump in on my live streams, and I love that. Salberts is also just seems to be a nice guy in general. So now we have another email, and this one comes from Slim Tony. Okay, who was featured in the last episode. But for now, anything goes, you know? Thanks for the feedback last week. That was cool. I changed some things in the mix, and I also arranged it slightly different. If you want to check it out, here's a link. If you don't want to listen to that again, here's another one. Hope it's not too slow for you. Have a great day, Slim Tony. You know what? I'm curious to listen to your other track and like compare the two different versions. But I'm not gonna. Not in this one right now, because I'm gonna try to focus on new beats and new submissions. But following up on an older submission like that is a really cool idea. And you posted that one on YouTube, so I guess it's officially out. We might get back to that later on tonight, or maybe for another stream. I don't know. But you also submitted another one. Yeah, if you don't want to listen to it again, here's another one. Hope it's not too slow for you. You know, I'm stuck in my ways, and I like things to be in a specific way. That's why they call me accurate. But when it comes to other people's music, you know, if I'm going to listen to your track and it's slow, I'm going to try to adapt, you know. And for myself as a producer, I want to get into making slower beats myself. I used to be this steady hardcore 92, 94 guy. Now I'm trying to start most of my projects in 80, 85, 87. Because producing stuff in like 72 BPM is awesome. But I can't. Okay, so Cosmo asked where's the submission. I posted the email, and he says the link isn't working. There's no link. That's an email address. So just send me an email, please. BTRT@accuratebeats.com is an email address, and you should be able to just send an email to it. The link isn't working. I don't even know what that means. BTRT@accuratebeats.com. Did I make some type of typo? BTRT@accuratebeats.com. That should work. Cosmo, if it doesn't work for you, please tell me again in the chat room, and I'm gonna... I don't even know. I just want to know. So, the next submission comes from Slim Tony. Let's have a listen. Oh, that's cool. Another submission from Slim Tony, being worried that that I would think it was too slow of a track. And I said something about like, yeah, I don't make beats myself in 72 BPM. The way I try to like figure out, this was 60 BPM, something like that. That's crazy. Super, super slow. And it takes a lot of balls. It takes a lot of confidence to do something like that. And it's awesome. This is great. Great, 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 great stuff. Slim Tony, I like this one a lot. You did some great stuff here, for sure. And this beat was 3 minutes and 30 seconds. So 3.5 minutes long, and I didn't even think about it. It just played, and I just got into the zone. So really cool stuff. Even, I mean, it took me down a little bit in terms of energy and stuff. It just makes you think about stuff in a different way. Really good. I don't even know. I mean, structuring a beat in a loop, that's pretty much what we all do, right? So you start with some type of idea for a loop and it repeats, and then you add stuff on top of it, hopefully over time, so it becomes an arrangement and it makes sense. And that's exactly what you did. The main loop to me here, I mean the main loop and the main loop, I don't even know, but the main idea here, the bass line. Dum, do 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 dum da dum da dum dum dum. Great stuff, great idea, nice and solid bass line, and everything just lives around that, you know? Sure, we have the drums, we have the everything, the Rhodes piano, the electric piano, I should say, Rhodes, whatever. But the main character here for me is the bass line, in terms of how the music itself is structured around it. And when we had the first introduction of the guitar, almost goosebumps. Almost goosebumps. This track without the bass line or a different, simpler bass line wouldn't have been as good. So the bass line does a lot of heavy lifting, for sure. Also a cool way to just start out like that. But then... And a bass line like that, with that amount of dynamics and changes and stuff, whoo! When you have something like that and you're just adding chords and notes, and then you have this guitar lick and it's just... Then that kind of process is what music making is all about. Getting into the zone, just adding stuff, and everything feels natural. Maybe this was a big struggle for you, I don't even know. But it sounds natural. It sounds dynamic, simple, nice, polished, without being like overly worked on, you know. It just felt like it came naturally. Maybe it didn't. Who am I to say? I don't even know. But that's the feeling I got. Because this loop right here, dropping out the snare drum like that, just letting go of it, letting it breathe, letting it be its own little person or whatever it is. Boom, back to it. Cool stuff. Really cool stuff. Slim Tony in the house with a great submission. And then as the track evolved, I'm not sure, but over here somewhere. Yeah. Just the jamming over here, the feeling of actual musicians playing together. I guess that's not what's happening. I guess this is you just producing track by track, but it feels like a natural kind of relationship between the Rhodes piano and the guitar, and the bass line is just in the background, being like the big old father figure, just holding everything together. This is me just, yeah, I'm a bass line I'm the base of the line. I don't know. And then things just, this is the perfect example of that. And I keep saying Rhodes. That's not even a Rhodes piano. That's like an acoustic piano, whatever like that. Damn. That's good. And also, like, I'm noticing the cymbals, the ride cymbals and stuff going on. Maybe if I wanted to point out something that I feel could be kind of worked on or improved or at least thought about. Sure, the hi-hat pattern is cool. Like 16 notes like that. Makes a lot of sense. But maybe I want a little bit more of the hi-hats in terms of volume. Maybe not. Now, you know what I would do? If this was my project, I would try to change the pitch on the hi-hats. Just pitching them down a little bit. Choop, I don't know. Maybe that just makes them disappear. I don't even know. It just feels like that's what I would try, to change the pitch of the hi-hat samples. Or maybe replacing that with some kind of shaker. I don't know what I'm talking about, but things could always be changed, improved, or you could always make things worse. That's always an option, to make things less good. So why not? Okay. The atmosphere, the vibe, everything is there. I do love the fact that it's like 59, 61 BPM, something like that. Really cool. And like the mix, the arrangement, the sound choices, I like it. What I want to add, though, is that if you just hear the guitar sound itself, it's not that cool. It's not that powerful in itself, but in context, it is. So the guitar sound kind of sucks. And, that type of delay gives it a vibe, and the entire production makes it better than what it is. So it equals more than the sum of its parts. Why am I even trying to say stuff like that? I don't know. Slim Tony, thanks a lot for sending this one over. I love it. Great work. Just flat out. Now we have a few emails from UVI wanting me to, I don't even know why I'm getting like ad emails on this bitrate email, but sure. The next one comes from, let's see, that's the real name, and that's DJ WTF. DJ WTF. That's gonna be DJ Wild Tusk Fart. DJ Wild Tusk Fart. I'm sorry about that. DJ, what the fuck? What the fuck? It's a longer email, so I'm kind of building up to it. Hello, Accurate. I'm a long-time fan of your channel, and I would like to submit a track for your next review. This is probably not super protocol or procedure, but hey, whatever. My track has a very obvious Deftone sample, Kim Dracula, so it may not make the cut. Of course it will. But if you could just listen to it, that would be great. I have over 80 tracks, and most of them are shit. I'm 61 years young, and my 21-year-old son thinks that I'm a complete musical moron. It's a shame that it's wrong. NPC community is the best. From DJ What the Fuck. P.S. You are an inspiration to so many people. Thank you for overcoming personal hardships and continuing to inspire us. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So, DJ WTF, 61 years old, with a 21-year-old son that thinks he's a complete musical moron. I don't know. He also shouts out the NPC, a Deftone sample. You know, this could be really cool. You never know. You never know. And I appreciate the fact that you sent this in, and we're going to add it to the playlist. We're going to listen to it. But first of all, I'm going to change the camera angle because I want to. Whatever, man. Let's listen to DJ WTF. All right, and now. Okay, so right now I'm in a position where I'm just not educated enough to understand this. You know, what did he say about his son? 21 years old, thinks he's a complete musical moron. It's a shame that he's so wrong. Okay, so I might also be a musical moron right now. Deftones. And Kim Dracula from Deftones. I'm not even sure what that is. I'm gonna be that honest and just say that flat out. Okay, Deftones. they are an alternative metal band, and I do recognize them from the pictures and stuff. I know what this is somewhat. So yeah, since I don't really know what's what here, I'm gonna like assume that the entire vocal thing here is from Deftones. That kind of vocal performance could very well be some type of, you know, alt metal band doing something like that. And people are talking about the Limp Bizkit and stuff. Yeah, it's a band. So I know that much. They're way better than Limp Bizkit. Okay. So it's a Deftone reference. Okay, but it's also a sample from Deftones. So there's a bunch of layers to this onion that I'm not understanding, you know? But I guess that doesn't really matter much, because when it comes to this track, I have some thoughts. Rockwell thinks it's the actual vocal stems. Okay, yeah. So if the vocal stem here is from Deftones and it's remixed in this kind of way, that's pretty creative and pretty cool. But there is a dissonance, the way I see it, between the beat, the track, the potential of the beat itself, and what this vocal a cappella track does to it. I'm not going to say that it's awful. I'm not going to say that it's a complete mismatch, because I kind of understand what you're going for. But if I would have done something like that myself, I would have used parts of the vocal that fits well in there, because it adds this weird kind of tension to it, and this weird, feeling of being in the ballpark of, yeah, it's a hip hop kind of beat. It's these pitched around chords, and it's really good sounding drums. And then we have this vocal thing on top of it that just takes it to this strange, weird, a little bit scary kind of place. But since it's over the entire track, to me, it's just too much. And when it becomes out of tune, it becomes too much out of tune to be comfortable to listen to. That's my 2 cents on it. Does it have a cultural and a creative value? 100%. And it's kind of cool, kind of a cool idea. If it's this Limp Bizkit-esque kind of alternative metal band, incorporating vocals from that in like a traditional beat, I'm not opposed to that. I think that sounds kind of cool. But we still have notes to take into consideration, and we still have things that should work in a musical sense. Parts of it does, parts of it, to me, doesn't. And it's just me, just one guy with a bunch of opinions, I know. And you said I'm inspiring and whatever, you were super nice to me, and I'm going to try to be super nice to you. Even though I don't have this reference. Maybe Deftones is a huge thing in the alt metal world. I'm not in that world whatsoever. I've never been. I understood some of the Rage Against the Machine tracks back in the day, but Limp Bizkit and everything like that to me was just like, yeah, not my kind of thing. That said, since I don't really know Deftones and I don't really know what this is, I'm not going to take that into consideration like that. I'm just going to listen to it as music and kind of get a grips of it. And everything that I'm saying stands by. I stand by everything that I'm saying, because it feels like it has this it brings this tension to it, which is interesting, but it's also a little bit over the top. It's a little bit too much to me. Me being like stuck in my old ways and like really specific about stuff. But the production here. The drums, fire. This is all good. The drums, I mean, the kick drum, it's there. It's not obviously like saturated or distorted or in your face. It's just nice and bumpy, and it's there. Together with the double hi-hats and it's a nice drum groove for sure. And you know, the way I perceive this with the electric piano chords, it feels like maybe you have two chords and you've pitched them around and made that thing, which is this really old school house music and old school hip hop way of using samples like that. And I really appreciate it. It's cool and it brings a different kind of thing. Playing the actual notes on a chord and then switching the chord is one thing. Taking those notes, taking the entire audio file and changing the pitch, even though you're pretty much just transposing it, it sounds different and it's cool. It has this own little signature sound to it, that type of workflow, and I appreciate it. Together with those drums, it makes a lot of sense, and I think it's really cool. Someone else said it in the chat. Let's see here. Okay, here we are. Love the idea, but I love the idea, but the execution is not my favorite. I couldn't agree more. The next sentence, he can make beats though. Clearly. Yeah, obviously. This guy knows what he's doing. Maybe he had an idea here and it took it a little bit too far, or maybe it's just me being a dumbass being stuck in my ways. Whatever. DJ WTF. I appreciate this one. It's a fun listen. It's a really fun and cool thing to listen to, even though it starts to like take your mind to crazy places that I'm not super comfortable with. It's its own thing, and you know what you're doing, and I think it's awesome. If your son, who's 21 years old, think that you're a complete musical moron, he's wrong. You have the drums, you have the chords, you have the everything. Right in the pocket. Nice and cool. Adding that much of the vocal a cappella, not the best choice in my book. But I'm also a moron. So who cares? You know what you're doing. This is good. DJ WTF. I would love to have you submitting beats for another show. You know, for another episode, just to understand who you are and what you're doing. This is interesting. To me, it's not great, since the acapella destroys a lot of the potential. But since it's obvious that you know what you're doing, please submit one of the other tracks. If you have 80 songs laying around, throw me another one, please. So, we are now getting into beats that came in today. Yeah, we don't have that much stuff. Hey, if you still got the Discord group, I can send you the link. I lost my own Discord, and Rockwell just sends it in. Thanks, Rockwell. Thanks for helping me out. I do have the Discord. I'm there sometimes. Some days I'm really active, and some days I'm not. Lately, the last 2 weeks, I've been so busy with my day job that I'm just falling asleep whenever I stop working. So I haven't been the best at anything, but you know. Please join the Discord and send us whatever. You mentioned something about vocal samples. Sounds cool. Sounds fun. Now, the next one came in today, 58 minutes ago, from never settle down. Yeah, let's read the entire thing. This is my about third beat on the Roland P6. The P6 is one of the small ones, right? The sampler, like the other ones that I have, but the sampler one. Let's just Google that real quick to make sure that I'm talking about the right thing. Roland P6. Roland P6. Yeah, it's that one. The IRA Compact P6. The P6 is, the Roland IRA is definitely a cool little, I completely dropped the word. The Roland IRA series is a cool series of products. But the P6 is not that competent. It's not that powerful when it comes to sampling, even though a lot of people are using it and it seems to be really cool, but not something I could see myself, making an entire beat on, even though I know it's possible. And, it's the same thing with all these Roland things. People tend to do the punch-in effects way too much, just overusing them, trying to make something not that interesting way more interesting just by using those. But maybe that's not what you're doing. Master Swagger and LON Never Settle Down, and also Master Swagger. I don't know what is the name there. Oh, there we are. LON, but low N. Okay? LO-N. Low N. Cool. My bad. Low N. Made So Well has a good idea about the Discord. Yeah, I'm gonna fix something like that later on. But for now, let's listen to Low N. Never Settle Down. Well, so, okay. This is what happens when people just, Accurate doesn't have beats for the stream. Let's just send him something. Nick Blurry made this one. He says, sorry, I made it at work. You know what? And before that, it's unmixed. Sure, everything's unmixed. Always. Everything is unmixed. That's just the life we're living. But you also said this is about my third beat on the Roland P6, low N. Yeah, I mean, this is your third beat on the Roland P6. Sure. But are you have you made a lot of beats before? I think that's interesting to know. P6, how many of my lo-fi FX do you want to use? Low end. Yes. That's funny. RZ, we are still accepting beats. Sure, just send it over email and I would play anything. But this track right here from Link Blurry, or from Loan, my bad. There's a lot of things to be said. First of all, this feels like a file that hasn't been like bounced out as a file. There's a lot of silence, and then there's some drums, and then more silence, and to me, that's a little bit unfortunate. But the first part of this is a beat. The first like half minute or something. I mean, obviously it's unmixed. It's super, super muddy, and you need to like raise all the higher frequencies. Or, maybe you have a low pass filter on the master. I don't even know. Something needs to be done about the frequencies. It's super muddy, and it's, we don't have any clarity at all in there. But the ideas, I mean, the piano or the whatever sample, it will become, even if you fix the mix and everything, that's going to become repetitive. It is. But then you also have the vocals, the shouting samples, and yeah, that's cool. I think you have some building blocks here that could become something. It does need to be treated in terms of the sonics of it. Sounds really bad. Super muddy and dark and like low and muddy and whatever. And you said it was on a digital recorder. Okay, I don't know. This track feels like it's not finished. It's not really much to talk about because it needs to be worked on. But you have some of the basic foundation parts in there that could be used in a different kind of context, made into something cool. 100%. So I don't think it's fair to keep trying to like say stuff about that piece of music because a lot of it is disappearing just because of the frequencies not being there. It feels like it's, some of the parts in there could be rearranged into something if you also fix the audio quality and the whatever. But for working on something like the IRA P6, I mean, I haven't used it much myself, but it feels like kind of a hassle. But let's move along to the person who asked about the email in the stream. Cosmo. No message, nothing like that, which is totally fine. And then 2 different files. Two different files with 2 different names, obviously 2 different projects. I'm just going to pick one, I think. One has 143 BPM in the name, and the other one has 142 BPM in the name. So I guess this is going to be something that I'm not used to listening to. Because even, 142, that becomes like 71 BPM. It could be a double tempo kind of thing. So let's give this one a listen. And if you're still in the chat room, please hang out. What's the name of you? I totally missed you. Cosmo. Something 143 BPM. I don't know. Let's go. All right. So, this is kind of cool. This type of new schooly music, and excuse me, I have a hard time placing things in the right genre. I don't even know the difference between, I don't even, what's the difference between drill and, crunk is not the, whatever. To me, this feels new school, it feels modern, it feels electronic, kind of cool. A lot of dynamics in there, a lot of cool stuff going on with the drums. I appreciate all the work that's been put into this. 100%. It's not really my type of style when it comes to like my musical taste, and that's also fine. I understand the harmonics, the quality of it, and I don't think this is bad at all. I'm not going to say that I don't like this genre, I don't understand it, it sucks. No, from a musical standpoint, this is good stuff. I do think you're experiencing a few issues with the mixing. Having a distorted 808 bass line like that is a difficult thing. It's a difficult thing to work with when it comes to the mastering and the mixing process. To me, it feels like everything else has been like taken on the ride of being distorted, and the entire thing feels like it's overdriven. Maybe it's not. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just the fact that the 808 is distorted together with the white noise stuff in the synth creates this like push. Push is not the right word, but it creates ear fatigue in a way that I don't feel is really comfortable because, white noise is just a bunch of frequencies. Adding distortion to an 808 is just adding a bunch of harmonics, a bunch of frequencies. It's not always a bad idea to do it, but sometimes when you do like a distorted 808 together with a sawtooth synth with a lot of basically white noise kind of information in it, it becomes like this big, in Swedish we say sausage. I don't even know if that's a thing in English, but a sausage means that the waveform itself just looks like that. So it starts and it ends, but in the middle it's just flat. So it's a sausage, Not just in terms of the perceived volume or the compression or anything, but just in terms of the push and the amount of energy you're getting because you have that many frequencies playing that loud at once. To me, it becomes difficult. I like dynamics and things that are somewhat easy to listen to. Things can be distorted and dirty and whatever, have aggression and, an attitude and all that. But sometimes when you have too much of the same thing, it becomes too much of the same thing. All that said, this production with the different synths and the different chords and the melodies and the layers and stuff, it's a nice piece of work. And working in this type of tempo, having an arpeggio synth like that, going, it adds a lot of like straightness to it. It adds a lot of beat, I guess. It adds a sense of rhythm that's rock stable, and it's right here. It's notes in a pattern becoming a whatever, but it also has this rhythmical aspect and this rhythmical value to it, which is really cool. Adding that with these bigger bigger synths playing the same chords, it becomes really melodic and really musical, and it's nice. So that's what I'm trying to say here. Like the beautifulness of the arpeggio together with the chords kind of crashes with the distorted bass line and the overall like white, noisy, sawtoothy kind of sound to me. So I would pick a route. You know, do you want it to be more in the beautiful kind of melodic space, or do you want it to be more hardcore, aggressive, rhythmical, distorted, you know? And finding a balance there and having that contrast is cool. To me, it doesn't really work, even though it kind of does. You know, I'm not going to be old enough to say that it feels video gamey, because I understand that it's not the reference for this. It's not chip tunes. It's not something like that. But it feels, you know, don't say video game, don't say video game, don't say video game. I don't know what I'm going to say. I can't, I'm thinking about space aircrafts, whatever those are called, spaceships, UFOs, stuff like that. Because we have this dark and moody kind of Armageddon type of vibe together with this modern production style. I think this is cool. Some issues with the frequencies to me, because it sounds like hard to listen to. But also in this genre, doing all the stuff that you're doing with the drums is pretty much what people do. Changing the pitch of snare rolls and stuff. And it adds a lot of cool energy to something. I like this in so many ways, but I also have a lot of things to say about it. Whatever. Kane TV says, as Accurate and me are on the same kind of feeling today, I'm very confident that he will like my reverb snare. You sent something? Was this you? No, you haven't sent me anything. Kane TV? I don't have any submission from you. I sent you. Okay. So, you're not JRZ Beats. You're not. You're someone else. Have you sent me something? Crazy. Oh, my bad. We have the spam folder. There you are. And there's another one. Oh my god. Oh my god. This message seems dangerous. Messages like this one were used to steal personal information. Don't click links, download attachments, or reply with personal information. That's not on your email, Kane TV. That's on a different one. So, you know, I'm putting myself in the worst possible position here. I got an email last episode, apparently. I couldn't see it, but now I can, because it was scanned and posted and put in the spam folder. This message seems dangerous. Don't click links, download. That I can click looks safe if I want to. So I have this big red banner and then an orange one saying that downloading this attachment is disabled. This email has been identified for phishing. You know, I'm not gonna click that one. That feels a little bit too scary. Seems legit though, from someone who says, here's a beat I made a few days ago, hope you like it. So it's really, really targeted. I'm just gonna not. Okay, so that one is out of the contest. It's not a contest. Sorry for saying the word contest. It's not a contest. Jesus. So we have 2 emails. One from you, Kane TV. It's gonna be played, and another one too. So let's start with the other one, and then get back to your reverb snare. Why? But still. Hannibal Actor's in the house. Hannibal Actor, do you have audio? Can you hear me? Delete it, bro. Yeah. You will hear it. It's a banger. Yeah, sure. I do believe you, Kane TV. But for now, let's get into the other submission from JRZ Beats. Hey, Accurate, I have a beat here for my upcoming project that I messed around with and put an acapella on. Both the instrumental and acapella versions are attached, so feel free to play either. Also, side note, can we get a channel made in the Discord for us to share samples? I'm mainly a sample maker, so I would love to send some to the Discord to collaborate with more people. JRZ. 2,500% we're gonna make a channel for that. If you want to share samples with us that you've made, it's a beautiful thing, and you should be able to do it, you know? Now, let's download these 2 files onto my hard drive, opening up my computer for all sorts of viruses. I know. The old system was better in terms of security. This is easier. Hannibal Actor hears me. So, Hannibal Actor has been in streams before on Twitch without having any audio. Now he's here with audio, but not on my Xbox app. Watching the whole thing over my iPad. Cool. We love iPads, so that's good. And, everything's on Xbox these days, so I don't know. Did I shout this one out as I should? No, not DJ, my bad. JRZ Beats, and we're going to start with the track without the acapella, just to hear the beat itself. Let's go. So, JRZ Beats with a pretty dope submission. Now, we talk about beats and we talk about like ways things have been made. We also talk a little bit about music theory sometimes, and you know, when you break down music the way I try to do on these streams, it becomes kind of apparent that I keep going back to the same things. I keep thinking about, well, how is the velocity settings on the hi-hats? How does the bass work with the drums? You know, stuff like that. And sometimes it's also worth mentioning that a beat like this one, musically speaking, 2 chords going bum, bum, bum. That's not the right note, but you know what I'm saying. And the basic idea of that is like, that's fine. It's 2 chords and it is what it is. Can you make an entire beat out of it? And it's kind of interesting and nice to listen to. Big up to you. You know, that's a good thing for you. That's great. And that's what you did. 2 chords going back and forth. Again, super slow. We're talking about 60 BPM again. And I think that's cool. A part of me has an issue myself because I'm full of it, you know. A part of me has an issue making music like that myself, even though sometimes I rely on just a simple chord progression, maybe 2 chords, maybe 3 chords, and it's not the end of the world, but then I try to switch it up as much as possible with different chops of samples and vocals and whatever. But this also tells me that sometimes you just don't have to. Sometimes you just don't have to go crazy. It's, you know, and JRC Beats also adds, oh yeah, it's for a rapper on it. We also have the version with the acapella, so soon we're going to listen to that too. A few seconds of it. But what I think is interesting is that it's 2 different chords going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Hannah Balactor is pointing out that it doesn't have a lot of tension. Not enough tension in the chords would be a nitpick. Sure, getting tension, creating tension between relationship between different notes and chords, kind of asks, that's a lot to ask for a simple thing with 2 chords. What you did a great job of here, though, was making the absolute most of those 2 chords. Going from chord 1 to chord B to chord 1 to chord 2. Chord A to B to A to B. But then also adding things. Every time they repeated at the beginning here, every fourth or 8th bar, something else happened. You added this same chord an octave up. And that makes sense. That makes it more fun to listen to. Something happens. You're creating dynamics. Not a lot of tension in the musical sense of the word, but dynamics and changes over time. And that takes you really far. This is dead simple. Going from A to B, 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 B. An octave up. Later on, we have this melody thing, and that makes a whole world of difference. In this case, I'm not a huge fan of the actual sound you used. Sounds like some kind of mellotron or something, which could be awesome. In this case, I would have gone for something else, but that's me. Again, I'm a dumbass, don't listen. But we have all the simple stuff. We have the A and the B chord, and we have the bass line going boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Just creating a nice and simple way to go from one chord to the next. But then you add this second chord, an octave up, and you add this melody. And all of a sudden, it's a complete production. There's nothing bad to say about this anymore. If we just play from here, doesn't play the same notes as the bass, but it works really well with the bass because it's, in the same kind of scale. And it's not bad because you have everything in place. You have the bass line in place, you have the chords in place, you have the drums in place, you have the melody in place. And it becomes this whole thing. If I weren't a music maker and a producer myself, this would just be a nice and simple listen. It's not the most groundbreaking thing ever. It doesn't have too much personality. It's not that I'm getting a lot of sentimental value out of it or emotional value, but it's laid back and it's nice and cool. And you said that it's for a rapper, so let's listen to it with the acapella too, because that's where I think a beat like this could really shine. You also had this really nice, I wrote something down actually. You had a switch up, which came in at the perfect time. The timing of that switch up, going from like the main parts to the more laid back, even more open and loose version. Good timing, good stuff. Now, with the acapella, how much does it change?
First person shooter mode. We turning your song to a funeral. To them niggas that say they want office, you better be talking about working in cubicles. Yeah, them boys had a lot, but I knew the code. A lot of niggas debating my numero. Not the 3, not the 2, I'm the UNO. Yeah. Numero UNO. Me and Drizzy, this shit like the Super Bowl. Man, this shit done it big as the... Big as the what? Big as the what? Big as the what?
Big as the Super Bowl, but the difference is it's just two guys playing shit that they did in the studio. Niggas usually send their verses back.
So, how does that kind of vocal handle the melody?
With me is the biggest mistake. This hit you like I'm on your call ID. I'm naming the album to fall off. It's pretty ironic, cause it ain't no follow for me. Still in this bitch getting bigger. They waiting on the kid to come drop like a father to be. Love when they argue the hardest MC. Is it K Dot? Is it R?
So now I have opinions about the mixing. That melody, mellotron line kind of thing should be lower in volume with the rapper because it becomes too much.
We the big 3 like we started a league, but right now I feel like Muhammad Ali. Yeah, Muhammad Ali, the one that they call when they shit ain't connecting no more.
If I made something like this with that kind of rap and I wanted that kind of line or melody, I would go for a cello or something like that. Not that high pitched, not that like high energy in terms of the sonics of it. I would go for a cello, maybe a synth with less, like an octave down, something like that. It's a nice and solid production. I just think it's fun to talk about something like this, breaking it down like that, because it's dead simple. It's almost too simple, but because you keep building on it, you're adding different blocks to the bass line you have. I think it's nice. I think it's cool. The vocals brings in a much more dynamic, yeah, for sure. And it becomes a song. It becomes a track instead of just a bare bone instrumental. So there's a difference between a beat that's made for a rapper and a beat that's made to hold up as an instrumental. So in this case, in this kind of perspective,
Stick like a high beam, and I was Benny Will Whip when I was 19. She called my number, leave her hanging, she got dry clean.
Too deep, I look at the tweets and start sucking my teeth. I'm letting it rock cause I love.
I think it's good. I would, of course, like a more old school lyrical rapper. But sure. It's good. JRZ Beats. Awesome stuff. Thanks. Thanks for submitting. Thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out. This is cool. JRC Beats has been featured before, and JRC Beats was here on when we used to do it on YouTube a few weeks ago, making it sound all important. Now, it's time to start wrapping this shit up. But first of all, back to the spam folder where we have Mr. Kane TV. Report not spam, which means it ends up in the inbox. No, it didn't. Yes, it did. Is this the one? 1 hour ago? Yeah, it is. So, Kane TV says, yo, accurate. I hope you like my latest beat. Kane TV here. Thanks a lot for clearing that out. You know, having more than one name makes me forget, makes me fuck up. I mean, imagine if you had something called beat review and then you switched into beat rate and you switched from YouTube to Twitch. I wouldn't been able to handle that. So Kane TV, here you are. That's your beat. You have already said stuff about having a reverb on the snare. So that's all I'm going to talk about. Sorry, I'm gonna cut it off right there because it feels like I know what's happening. Kane TV, come on, man. This was, this was great stuff. 100%. Almost perfect. Yeah, almost perfect. Shit. you did something. You did something with the mix here that, took it a little bit too far. Again, Kane TV has been with us before. Now something happened with the chat. I don't know. Let's reload that one, and it doesn't work still. So something with some kind of compression here that was a little bit too much, but still, you are working on a pretty high level, Kane TV. You know that. You make a lot of great stuff. This is clearly to me like Dilla inspired, not just in terms of the rhythm, everyone doing the lazy drums these days, but also the way you use the sample. This, the main one. Allowing it to be kind of offbeat, going nice and soulful kind of thing. But I understand that it's like round and soft and smooth and groovy, but still, I want a little bit more crispiness, a little bit more shiny, crispy quality, like a little bit more of that, those frequencies in the sample. Just raise some of the frequencies, man. Just make it a little bit more clean, a little bit more, make that cut through it just a little bit. Because you have all the compression with the drums and the bass line, and it sounds kind of cool in this little box and everything. I don't hate it. But then you need something to contrast from that. In terms of frequencies, right now we have the hi-hat up there. But I want some of that goodness from the main sample to be just EQ'd a little bit differently. That's what I'm saying. This is really cool stuff. And when you added this, works so well with the rhythm too. It adds a lot of notes and a lot of cool musicality in terms of harmonics and whatever, but just how it plays its part as a rhythmical aspect together with the drums, it just works. So Kane says there were 2 samples layered and mixed in the SP44 Mark II. Cool stuff. Still, whatever you did, take the entire thing, just give it a little bit more treble, and we're there. This is really good. Again, we have a situation where the bass line and the drums really work together, and the bass line is one of the main characters, together with that chopped up sample and everything else that's happening. You said something, gotta see it over there. You said that this was the Roland S1 doing the pattern. Which makes sense because, the IRA series has this step sequencer that works for some stuff like that. If you find the right swing amount and everything just works, Hey, next week, did you use the Master Fix on the SP? Master FX, you mean? 3 different layers of S1 and actually played live on those little fucked up knobs. Okay, that's cool. Kane TV knows what he's doing. He is one of the people who has been submitting beats for a while. And when you started submitting beats to this, to me, you were kind of new to making beats, if I'm not wrong. Which means you're still kind of new to it. You're making some good stuff, definitely. And yeah, if that's a reverb on the snare going in the background, I'm not a fan. That should be taken away. These drums deserve to be clean. They sound really good. They play a good part together with the bass line. That kind of noise in the background doesn't add anything. It's not like it destroys the entire thing, but it doesn't add anything. Yeah, that's definitely a reverb on the snare going. I don't get it. If you want something that goes gong, add some type of cymbal, add a ride or something. Kane TV, thanks a lot for submitting, and thanks for pointing it out, because this one was stuck in the spam folder for some reason. Together with some other stuff that I'm not even going to mention. Request for proposal. Invitation. Fuck you. No. Okay. So we are out of beats and we are out of time. This has been about 2 hours, and this is officially the end of at least the YouTube version of this video that I'm recording in OBS. I'm going to stop that right now and hang out a few more minutes with you guys. So that's it for Beat episode 2 on YouTube. You know, doing this entire thing like this becomes a little bit complicated and hard to explain. But, you know, YouTube, thanks a lot for hanging out and listening to this as a podcast or something like that. It's cool. On the second channel, Inaccurate. And if you listen to this so far and you've made the entire episode and you make music yourself, please submit beats to me, to this thing. BTRT@accuratebeats.com. Just send me an email with a link, or, a file would be better, but still. No matter what kind of level you're on, if you're a beginner, if you're an experienced producer, I don't care. I just want to hear it. I just want to share it and talk about different tips and tricks and things to think about. And, that's what this concept is. So, YouTube, peace out.